By now you've all heard of Overwatch, Blizzard Entertainment's big arena shooter that combines fun-looking characters with shooter tactics. And yes, Team Fortress did it first, but they don't own that idea. Last year when the game was released, I fell in love immediately. The looks, the playstyles, and the maps were flawless. I even named my Twitch Rich Plays Overwatch instead of Rich Alvarez because I assumed it was going to be 90% of me playing Overwatch. But somewhere down the line, it started to feel empty, soulless, and repetitive. Why? Before I answer that, give this video a like, a thumbs up if you will. I'm told that YouTube is so broken that a thumbs up barely counts unless it's given in the first 30 seconds of a video. Okay, did you do it? Great. Why did a game I love so much suddenly become one more game that's collecting dust on my hard drive? Well, that's kind of a broad question, so I'll boil it down to one thing that really matters to me. Where is the story mode? Overwatch has some of the coolest designed characters, and if you dig through some wiki articles, skim through some comics, and take what you can from those cool CGI cutscenes, then you'll know they have some cool backstories too. Those CGI cutscenes, by the way, are just on Blizzard's YouTube and nowhere to be found in the game. This is a huge mistake for so many more reasons than I have time to explain in this video. For one, let's talk again about replayability. Overwatch is fantastic fun, but without context, it just begins to feel like a chore. And yes, obviously the online mode would forever feel like that, but what if it was supplemented with a single player story mode that gave context to the maps and missions? Then redoing them or elaborating on them in multiplayer mode would feel more like an experience and not just a game. Back in the day, I used to hate it when friends bought Halo and then only played it online. I felt betrayed. They were missing the core experience. The single player story is what makes that game so good. Well, at least until 4 it was good. At that point the series started to go downhill, and well, that's a topic for another day. Another point is that it could be bad for sales. Modern developers are trying to play the long game of catering to the long-term online crowd. Look at Star Wars Battlefront. EA focused entirely on multiplayer, ignoring a story mode completely. But the bad buzz surrounding that led to resentment and sales not reaching their potential. You need both, guys, to satisfy everyone. I understand, like those childhood friends, that not everyone cares about story. Some people just want to pick up a game and play it. But that's why I was the weird kid that stayed home and played Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy. I need a story, guys! Look, if you're not making a puzzle game, you should at least attempt a story to keep us invested. In fact, when I was on a panel at Wizard World, I proclaimed that if a multiplayer shooter doesn't have a story mode, I don't want to play it. And then Jackie pointed out that I was wearing my Overwatch hat, so yeah. So why the exception for Overwatch? Didn't I learn my lesson with Battlefront? Why did they do this to me? Well, actually, it was the question I asked most right before the game came out. Will it have a story mode? Googling that led to a bunch of Reddit posts talking about how various employees at Blizzard were excited for the eventual story mode. It was coming, but they wanted to get multiplayer out first since it was going to be the main game. These articles are impossible to find now, meaning that they were deleted, proven fake, or I dreamed up the entire thing. Either way, that was the reason I bought this game. To have fun with my friends online, sure, but I thought these characters would be fleshed out in a story mode eventually. I was excited to really get to know these characters that look so cool and interesting. It's now almost been a year and nothing. A few quirky seasonal costume updates and themed games, a new character every 3 months, but no story mode. And at this point, I'd say it's never coming. This was a big part of Faith Allen's argument on Video Game Fights on why she thought the game needed a complete overhaul.
It had so much potential that comes from such a well-known game company that has an awesome record of producing games with a lot of substance to them, and that this ended up being a really cool graphic, point and click, very, very basic mechanics, shooter game was so disappointing, and it just deserves a whole remake. And I'd like her to be more plot and more characters and more maps and something totally different, I would hope.
I'd settle for a story mode patch, but whatever. Guess I'll start reading the comics that feel oddly disconnected from the game in my opinion. But I'm just talking, having a good old video game talk. And hey, if you like video games, check out the newest episode of Video Game Fights, a competition show where video game knowledge and how to defend it are the key. And as always, subscribe to Rich Alvarez, it's good for you.